Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, you can scratch two more big free agent names off the list. That'll be Bichette signing with the crosstown rival Mets as they bounce back from the Kyle Tucker, putting some egg on their face there, and as well as JT Realmuto, who I guess the Phillies got some egg on the face from the Mets, so now they fired back to re-sign their catcher free agent for 3 years, $45 million. Not that I thought the Yankees would be on JT Realmuto, but nevertheless, two big names now off the board, and of course now we're all still waiting on Cody Bellinger. No news whether that's going to break or not, but obviously, with the Mets, going for Bichette, maybe, possibly likely, they'll be less likely for Cody Bellinger now. It's just, we're just kind of waiting for the clock to tick when the Yankees actually going to get this done. So get into mainly the Bichette deal, how it kind of affects the Yankees or not affects the Yankees, the whole deal there, and plus some World Baseball Classic updates, for some current and former Yankees, and Jazz make a little bit of an announcement that was kind of a bit of a head scratch. Wasn't seeing that one coming. So get it all to you, but before we start, make sure you subscribe to this podcast, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, the podcast, wherever you get your favorite podcast. There's also the YouTube channel of the show, so go to YouTube, search for Section 420 Talkin Yankees, and subscribe there as well. So, of course, we always like to poke fun in the Mets and laugh at them, and of course, they kind of looked bad on the whole Kyle Tucker situation where Stevie Cohen kind of puffed his chest out there, and they pretty much offer him a contract, $50 million per year, and it was going to be about a 4 or 5 year deal where they almost kind of felt like it was in the bag there, and then, of course, he turns around and goes right to the Dodgers like everyone else pretty much does to this, ridiculous mega contract, which I kind of I don't want to beat it to death there, but definitely an income level that's not worth what he is. I mean, he's not a Ohtani, Judgy, and Soto type player, but whatever, good for him. Got a crazy contract with an annual average value of about $57 million, and that's probably the same way baseball is going right now, and this Bichette contract, just the same way. So the Mets bounce right back, signing the former Blue Jays shortstop, which now they're going to convert to a third baseman with a similar type of deal. This one now could be worth up to $126 million. Now, same deal. There's going to be opt-outs after year one and year two, and it has again, this is probably the number you're going to be sick about hearing right now, annual average value of $42 million per year. So it seems that's probably the way baseball's going to go now, maybe just, as I kind of beat it to death a little bit with the Kyle Tucker episode previously, that I just probably a lot of these teams now, they'd rather just front load money and not just carry someone on the staff for the next 6-7 years. And, if you got to pay a lot for a guy for 1-2 years, they just got to do that. And, you get them when they're in their prime of their career and when they're at their most, in terms of production, give you the best value. And again, if you have to overpay for that now, it's maybe more beneficial versus carrying someone on a contract that just lasts forever, like the A-Rod contract and the Giancarlo Stanton contracts that just almost seemingly never end. So, that's where it is with baseball, and maybe that's what the Yankees are going to have to do with Cody Bellinger. So, getting back to Bichette, again, it's a 3-year deal, $126 million. He could opt out after seasons 1 or 2, which he may very likely do. I mean, right now he's 27. He's going to be 28 when the year starts, and he's still in the, almost the better side of 30, years old. So, if he has a great year and puts up big numbers, he's probably going to want to opt out and get an even bigger contract, or maybe someone does take a bite on him for a longer term deal. But nevertheless, getting paid at least $42 million going into 2026. Now, he did get an offer from the Blue Jays. It was a team offer of $22 million, but obviously knowing his market value there, he declined that, put himself in free agency. Now, seemingly, he was speaking with the Phillies early on this week, but right after they lost Tucker, they went right for Bichette. And then, of course, the Phillies reacted to that by going right after JT Realmuto, their free agent catcher, to lock him up for 3 years at $45 million there. So, seemed very reactionary. Defensively, obviously the Mets are set with Lindor shortstop, so Bichette's going to play third base, which he actually never done before in his career, so, this is kind of odd with him. And it's kind of, we heard this rumor with the Yankees that they might have been kicking the tires on him, but they didn't see him as a shortstop. And, if you kind of see where the Yankees are set in 2026, they probably still have belief in Volpe, even though fans want to cut bait with that one. And at second base, you have Jazz there, and then third base, you have both McMahon and Rosario, so it's kind of if you're even going to sign Bichette, where would you put him? So I like Bichette. I kind of wanted him here if possible. Again, he's a 300 hitter. He's just a hit machine. He does have a little bit of pop, but he has some of the Yankees need. That's his batting average and just making hits, just getting hits and getting on base. Get some home runs here and there, which he can. He has a little bit of pop. He had 18 home runs last season there, but I'm still okay with them just having a little bit more faith in Volpe. Fans, pretty much wanted him out here, like yesterday, but nevertheless, he will be playing third base for the Mets, something he'd never done before, but I think he can handle it. And of course, when he did playing in the World Series, he played second base for the first time in his career, something he never done before, so I'm sure you get accustomed to that. And if you look at the Mets team now, and just like that infield, pretty solid for them. You got Marcus Semien at second base. Defensively's all right. Maybe offensively, his best days are behind him. Lindor's still in his prime at shortstop. You got Bichette now there at third. And, of course, at first base, Polanco. But, again, he's kind of a jack of all trades. Who knows if he's going to even start in that or be an everyday first baseman. Now, does that, really make up for the loss of Pete Alonso, power-wise, RBI-wise, and production-wise? Maybe not. But at least it's a little bit of a, soft cushion for the Mets, who had a very rough offseason. Again, losing Alonso, losing Edward Diaz, trading away a fan favorite in Brandon Nimmo. Not that he was a great player, but, he was kind of a fan favorite. All right, you got a little bit back with Semien on that one. And then, of course, swing and miss with Tucker there. And then the Mets were kind of in the pits there. But then they bounced back a little bit with Bo Bichette. So good for them. And it helps the Yankees a little bit just to get Bo Bichette out of the American League East. Kind of said this a little bit with Bregman, leaving the Red Sox and going to the Cubs. It is a plus for the Yankees just to get Bichette, who, again, he's just a really good player, a good hitter. And, the Yankees have had their troubles with Toronto with Bichette. Just getting Bichette out of there does, help the Yankees just a little bit as well there. So, even if the Yankees don't get him, just to ship him out of the division is good for the Yankees as well. So, the deal, pending a physical by Bichette, and again, he had a little bit of injury last year. Again, he was out for most of the playoffs. Didn't play in the divisional series against the Yankees, but did come back in the World Series. So, the Yankees also just might have been a little worried about him. Also in 2024, missed some time as well with some injuries. So, might have a bit of an injury bug. So, that might be also why the Yankees weren't really jumping to go for this guy. But, you're not going to really do that. I'm not saying, is Bichette, better than McMahon? Would Bichette be better than McMahon at third base? Defensively, McMahon's a better player, but overall, Bichette would have been better. But, you have McMahon. He's under control. Let's just some upside with McMahon where you're just not going to cut bait with him. So, I just think there's just no room for Bichette with the Yankees, other than if he was going to make it, put him as your shortstop, which, again, he's not great defensively as well. I mean, he could be adequate. Then you have to go, what do you do with Volpe then? You have to ship him out there. So even though he was a good player, I just don't think there was no fit for him with the Yankees. And, of course, the Mets, needed to make a move after striking out on Tucker. And so now it's just, I'm wondering if the Mets are going to stay in pat with this. They feel like they're done with everything. Or if they're going one extra mile, they're going to try to get Cody Bellinger as well to supplement that. So, you would think that if they would not get Tucker, then Bellinger would be their plan B. But it seems that plan B was an infielder there. So you got to worry about it a little bit. Is Cohen going to come in now and try to get Bellinger as well? Because maybe they wanted to get Tucker and Bichette possibly. So you would think that if they didn't get Tucker, they would go for Bellinger. But for the fact that they didn't get Tucker and then they go for an infield, it's a little inconsistent there, so it makes me feel they might still be trying to maybe woo Bellinger over. Not too sure about that because I don't think they need him a ton. I think Bellinger is a better fit for the Yankees. I think Bellinger would rather play for the Yankees. Him hitting at Citi Field versus Yankee Stadium, and for obviously money is money, but if I'm Bellinger, I'd rather play for the Yankees and be hitting in Yankee Stadium there. But we'll see what goes on. But again, the Yankees might have to do one of these similar type of deals where, this has been rumored out there that the Yankees are probably include a signing bonus and probably have to give him the opt out, the same thing that Bichette got. And Mets also supposedly offered Tucker a signing bonus. Now he got one from the Dodgers, so. Again, the Yankees might just go the same route, like a 4 or 5 year deal with opt-outs maybe after year 2 or 3. Give them a little bit signing bonus as well and sweeten the pot a little bit. I don't think the Yankees are going to go like $50 million or $40 million on Bellinger there, but definitely it's going to be in the low 30s. I mean, you can almost shoe that in there. So that's the story. That's where it all lays there. So Bichette now with the Mets, out of the division, not with Toronto anymore. And, of course, the Yankees just waiting on Bellinger. Now, to switch over to the World Baseball Classic, we see no Judges going. Bednar's going for Team USA. I mean, Judge is kind of obligated, but some quick news coming in that Jazz now is going to play for Great Britain. A little interesting. I mean, obviously, he came from the islands down there, and a lot of those islands are usually owned by, the UK Virgin Islands. So, I guess there's some still territories. I don't know if that's still a thing, but I guess so. So, Jazz wants to play for Team Great Britain. Okay, I don't think it's the wisest move overall. I mean, you're entering your last year. It's a free agency year. Why would you want to risk getting hurt? I know he wants to, be carefree and, a little bit of play with some reckless abandon there a little bit. But, for Judge, I think it's an okay move. It makes sense. I don't think it makes sense for Jazz. I mean, he did miss a chunk of time in 2025 with that flank strain, which he, missed some time. He did come back and, again, played well in the second half of the season, but I just don't think it's a good move by him. I know, he's not going to run through walls and do anything crazy, and, you could just as easily get hurt in spring training as you can in the World Baseball Classic game, but it's a different edge, though, when you play in this. I mean, it is a sort of a playoff tournament, and you want to win. As a professional athlete, you may exert yourself a little bit extra than just a regular spring training game that means nothing nothing. So I don't know. I just think it's a little risky for him. I do not like the idea. I do not like the move at all. Yeah, you want to play and have fun, and obviously playing for the Yankees, he's got more of a face there, and maybe he thinks this adds some value to him when he does hit the free agency market after the 2026 season. But probably want to put up the best numbers possible. You want the best season possible, so you do get a big contract. And you mess around with this thing and you hurt yourself. And we saw what happened with Edward Diaz rupturing his Achilles. We saw Nestor Cortez with the Yankees. I mean, he was going to pitch for Team USA, but then he declined out because he was having some shoulder problems. And who knows if it was related to prepping up for that or not. Judge is a different case there. He is Aaron Judge. He is Mr. USA. He's Captain America, Captain of the Yankees. He's kind of obligated to go. And it's a little different, I think, playing the outfield versus playing second base there. And, Jazz also runs a lot. He steals bases. He's probably more likely to get hurt than Judge would. I don't think he's going to air out the arm to, throw someone stealing home or trying to score from home there the same way he would in the regular season. Again, I think Judge knows how to control himself. They did sort of limit Judge's throws in 2024 as well. We saw him not really gunning it. To further hurt that elbow. And I think some time has passed where I think the elbow should be okay right now. They evaluated it, and obviously no surgery or procedures was needed. Thank goodness on that one. And also the other Yankee news, Jorge Posada actually has agreed to be a coach for Team Italy in this thing. Now, Francisco Cervelli, the former Yankee catcher who was there with the 2009 World Championship Yankees, as was a team with Posada. So Cervelli is going to be the manager, and I guess Posada, him, and Cervelli still have a relationship. Again, Cervelli was Posada's backup in 2009, and I guess Posada is going to go help out coach Team Italy there in that one. So a little interesting as well, just a little Yankee history there from the old generation to this new generation. So that's the episode. Bichette gone off the board. JT Realmuto gone off the board. Not that the Yankees were looking at JT. And now, again, we just still wait on Bellinger, and Jazz deciding to play for Team Great Britain in the World Baseball Classic. So you want to get your popcorn for that one. Check you next time.